don't know how you deal with a logjam, but it's very difficult to do a press conference.
Now, back to the big news of the day with a senior Liberal senator essentially walking the plank. So, did he walk or was he pushed?
The calls for Assistant Treasurer Arthur Sinodinos to stand aside reached fever pitch.
Senator Sinodinos has no choice but to step aside. If he doesn't do that, Tony Abbott should step him aside.
But even this morning, the government was standing by its man.
Arthur Sinodinos is one of the greatest Australians who has participated in the public life of this country over the last 2 decades.
Just a few hours later, though, he fell on his sword.
I do not want this sideshow to be an unnecessary distraction to the important work of the government. I will therefore be standing aside as Assistant Treasurer.
Tonight, it's a government in damage control. Arthur Sinodinos was John Howard's Chief of Staff and Brains Trust for a decade. After leaving that office, he enjoyed a well-connected business career, including a lucrative stint as Chairman of Australian Water Holdings, a company linked to disgraced Labor figure Eddie Obeid. Sinodinos is due to appear before the corruption inquiry ICAC after it was revealed he stood to make tens of millions of dollars from a deal between Australian Water Holdings and the state-owned Sydney Water. There are allegations he used Liberal Party connections to lobby for the deal. Arthur Sinodinos protests his innocence and is due to front ICAC in the next 2 weeks.
What we see here is a member of this parliament doing the right and the honourable thing, which is what you'd expect from someone like Senator Sinodinos. I'm looking forward to his return to the ministry.
Josh Frydenberg is Parliamentary Secretary to the Prime Minister. Josh, you know you're in trouble in politics when everyone in the party starts talking about how much they support you. Is it safe to say that Sinodinos knew he was in trouble?
Look, Arthur has had a tough day, but I just want to remind your viewers there's no evidence of any wrongdoing by Arthur Sinodinos. He's taken the decision to step aside temporarily. He'll participate in these ICAC hearings. I'm sure he'll be vindicated and he'll be back on the front bench before too long.
Josh, we know there was a meeting this morning, so you're saying there was no pressure within the party to distance themselves from this corruption?
Look, he had a lot of support among my colleagues, and including from myself. And I don't think anyone wanted to see Arthur step aside, but this is a decision he's taken and he will be back on the front bench.
So what happens if he is found to have been guilty of wrongdoing? The Coalition has made no secret of the fact that they hate corruption on all levels. Will we see a royal commission into possible corporate corruption?
Look, that's a hypothetical there. Like I said, I think Arthur Sinodinos is a person of great decency, common sense and a high integrity. I don't think he will be found guilty of anything of that kind. I think he'll be completely vindicated.
Josh, we just heard before that women handle stress better than men. I'm just wondering, how does the Prime Minister, obviously a stressful job, how does he handle stress?
I think pretty well, probably by going for a swim and a run and a bike ride all in a few hours after question time. He's incredibly fit.
So he doesn't have like a Kevin Rudd stress ball or anything?
Or worry beads or anything like that. I haven't seen any evidence of that.
I'm enjoying this insight, Josh. Can I just ask you, you're right, he is very physically fit. Who would win a fight between the Prime Minister and a bear?
Well, yeah, if it was a grizzly bear, probably the grizzly bear. If it was a teddy bear, I think it would probably be Tony Abbott. Look,
not as tough as Putin.
Somebody...
Good to know. Good to know.
Hey, Josh.
Exactly right. Yeah.
Is it true that you went to uni with Charlie?
I certainly did at Monash, and you know, he always got much better marks, was a lot more popular than me, and you know, I probably just borrowed his notes to get through.
Josh, great having you on tonight. Thanks for your time.
Great to be with you and good to share a laugh.
I mean, there's no excuse for corruption, and I know this is not very popular to say, but I still believe, compared to corporate wages, politicians are paid too little, and as a result, they start looking in other places.
So it's barely their fault.
No excuse for corruption.
Was he in the band with you at uni?
No, he was not in the band with me.
What was your uni band called?
I called the Well-Hung Jury.
And what instrument did you play?
Speaking of corruption, I organised the Law Student Society barbecues and consistently booked my own band to play those barbecues. But it was not a paid position. All the free beer and sausages you wanted, and there was plenty.
Staying on politics, Greens leader today, Christine Milne, responded to the Coalition's direct action scheme for reducing emissions, and she gave an extremely detailed example.
It is a pig in a poke, or as one of the economists who has written about it has said, direct action is the hastily bought present for your auntie's 4th wedding, and that's about the extent of it.